Welcome to the Business Champion Show, sponsored by KMAReducation.org. Get ready to dive into the vibrant world of local businesses with us. We're here to chat about all things growth, health, and productivity, straight from the owners and the employees themselves. Why should you listen? Because we're spilling the beans on what makes businesses tick in our community. From awesome success stories to practical tips, we've got the inside scoop to help you level up your game. So don't touch that dial and join the party. Here is your host, Marietta Kammerer.
Hello and welcome to the Business Champion Show. I'm your host, Marietta Kammerer. From passive to active, how children learn to take initiative through experience is today's title. We don't tell children what to do. We guide them into experiences where they begin to think, to speak, and take initiative on their own. So it's never too early, and the time is now. With me today is my collaborator, Shakima Romero. Shakima is an early childhood educator and a culinary educator. Yes, she has 2 degrees. Welcome, Shakima.
Welcome. Hi, how are you, Marietta? Hope all is well.
All is well. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us tonight. Now, in these 25 minutes that we have on the show, let us present what we have in place for children ages 6 to 11, and this will take place in your home. So parents, grandparents, uncles, and aunts, please listen up, and I will show as many images as we can fit into our program tonight. So you will get the whole education. So let's get started with the show. You tuned in to Life Talk. No, Life Talk is the other show. You tuned into the Business Champion Show. Now, I broke this down into 4 categories: thinking and imagination, communication and expression, initiative and participation, and what the results. So just sit back, have a cup of coffee, a drink. Shakima and myself, we'll do the work. And Shakima, you're going to start with our experience in sharing. So I have a question I want to start with.
Sure.
Why do you think imagination is so important for a child?
Imagination is important for not just a child, for everyone. It allows you to think outside of the box, allows you to depend on your own intuition and your own instincts. And it allows creativity, in ways that watching something or before, I think we had a lot more time to be imaginative. We would play by ourselves. We would play games by ourselves. But now with kids watching television, tablets, social media, YouTube, I think that imagination is not as much there as it used to be. But I think it's a great thing for anyone to still have an active imagination.
Oh, absolutely. And we had very little to work with decades back. Very little, we would play with rocks.
Yes.
And that became today they paint the rocks and put little pictures on it, which I absolutely adore because that to me is very soothing. I don't do it myself, but I appreciate the little rocks with little images on it. And just very, very soothing. So imagination carries me through when I go through adversity.
It helps with problem solving, confidence.
Exactly.
Allows you to think outside of the box in ways that, come up with decisions that might not be in front of you.
Exactly. And unfortunately, in our workforce, many, many employees are not in a position to use their imagination. They have maybe 3 or 4 task items that they need to solve every single day, which are the same things all the time. They've
repetitive,
25 years, and people get sick and they don't know why, and they don't have a whistle on their lips going to work in the morning in the car, and they hate to get out of bed either. So we don't want our children to be like that. So next question: what happens when imagination is not used?
You just said it. You get bored. You get stifled. So you want to use your imagination to think creatively, and not necessarily, I know when we're thinking creative, we're thinking art, but just sometimes just thinking outside our box, dreaming and having dreams that we that something is possible. And when you don't have that, you feel stuck, like you can't move forward. You don't know which way to go, or you depend on other people to tell you what to do.
Exactly. You depend on the instruction and
Yeah.
you stop exploring possibilities on your own. That's where it starts. But that's when we come in, Shakima and myself, because we designed this program. Yeah, and we're coming to your homes. That's for sure. Because it's all about your children and their mindset and their imagination and everything. So because you kill it for the rest of your lifetime. You can never envision, you can't imagine, not even what it's like to have a beautiful life, a
Yeah.
wonderful career that you love. You can't, you're dead. It's like the department is empty upstairs. So, next question, are children naturally imaginative?
I
I
think
say
so.
yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think they are. We, as before the age of 5, I think we operate in a certain way where we're our own selves. And then we get to school, we conform, we try to fit in, we have to be like other people. And that kind of slowly decreases as we age. But absolutely, children, I think they're the blueprint for imagination and what creative thinking can look like
Right. Yeah, it's not
if
taken,
allowed. Yeah.
right. It's not taken serious at home because they say, it will fade. Um, and it's such an important puzzle survival piece. It's a real shame if it's not sponsored in the family unit, because it's not sponsored in schools. That's just the way it is. Either you are or you're not, and even if you are, you're not being sponsored. That's
Yes,
what I
supported.
experienced. So, what blocks a child from thinking freely?
What may block I for sure, I think trying to be like everyone else or having the expectations, or
Right.
sometimes even parents, they put their expectations and their guidelines and children follow through. I can definitely
Y-
relate as I'm the eldest child and you're expected to do things a certain way and you kind of just want to not really people please, but you want to please your parents and be the responsible one. And as that goes away, you tend to lose a little bit of yourself. And
You
that
know,
doesn't happen often, but it can, for a lot of people, it happens.
right. We can't even put all the reasons in in one
Right.
answer. It's impossible.
It's
But
multifaceted.
right, because constant correction,
Yeah.
that blocks you. Lack of opportunity to speak. And we were told as a child, you only speak when you're being asked.
Right.
So now how are
Right.
you going to start thinking freely? The poor child. It's true. We went through all of this and always being told what to do. Now,
Yeah.
I had a problem with that at age 2. So I'm highly allergic against being told what to do. I know everything. I know how I have to conduct myself. But anyway, next question. It's just it's multifaceted. So how do you encourage imagination, Shakima?
As a teacher and as a parent, I encourage my children to be themselves and my students to just be themselves, not to be like anyone else. I encourage them to just, if they're comfortable with something and comfortable looking a certain way, dressing a certain way, speaking a certain way, that's okay because uniqueness is celebrated here. We don't want to be like anyone else. We want to appreciate what makes us who we are.
Right. And I wanted to say something. When children are being asked to give their opinions, they
Yeah,
effortlessly, I'm going to repeat that. When children are being asked to give their opinions, they listen effortlessly. Have you ever encountered a child that does that? Never. So you always have to correct, make corrections so children would start listening and everything. But you start engaging them and ask them for their opinion and their
yeah,
thought. You don't have to correct them anymore. They're with you all
yeah.
the way and they're waiting for the next command or for the next thought.
Hmm.
So,
Yes,
how would you encourage imagination? I did make some notes, just to stay on track. Oh,
sure.
I just asked that question. Why am I asking it again?
Well,
How
yeah,
do you encourage imagination? You just answered it. So
yeah,
anyway, what is the role of storytelling? And I would say, let me start this. It gives children a structure to think create and build ideas together. And this is exactly what we did in one of the library programs. I had 13 children. I came in with the idea, traveling with Mr. Green, the seal, the big seal in a water tank. That was a big picture the size of a door. I'm not kidding. And it was not about Mr. Green traveling with him. It was about their travel experience and them traveling as a group, as a team, and they didn't know one another and giving their experiences. And we had them precisely pick a destination, how we were going to travel, what money it cost. The little girl next to me said, we're going to travel on a submarine, and the captain needs a special license for that. And even when
Yes.
they got off the submarine, they were looking for jewels, for treasures in the sea. And then afterwards, when they came back, traveling mentally, they were showing, they were talking what each found, each person is what each little kid
Yes,
found.
storytelling is great. It really it allows children to take initiative in themselves. It allows them to develop their language, their communication, and encourage them to participate in ways that, instead of just being a standby, it encourages to let their voices be heard.
Right, and there is no wrong thought because
No
that
wrong
thought
thought. Yeah.
somehow fits in, because if you're not quite sure what to do with the thought, somebody else will, and they jump in. And this
Correct.
is great fun. It's team building, it's storytelling, it's story building and having fun. And there's a bond afterwards. There's such a bond with the team. And these little kids, after an hour and a half, they were spent. They were tired. You could see it on their faces because they really worked. I had their attention, and this is exactly what Shakim and I, what we will be doing in your home with your children, whether it's for a birthday party as an event, or individually working with your child, whether you have a boy or a girl, or just one or two or siblings. That's what we will be doing. Um, they will know after we finish, after we leave the house, they will know what they learned, and they say, we want more. And it's true. I'm telling
Yes.
the truth. So let me move on. Let's go to communication and expression. Why do children hesitate to speak up, Shakima?
I think fear of rejection is one of them. They might not think that what they're saying is valuable. They might think that they might be laughed at or ridiculed. Um, so many different reasons, but that might be a couple reasons why children are lean towards a quieter, not really letting their voices be heard, or shy away. I don't like to say that kids are shy. I just say that they're a little bit on the quieter side.
Right. And you experience that with adults today,
Yeah.
where everybody is so quick and can hardly stop mentally to listen to you. So they're rushing you as you're trying to talk. You're being rushed. Oh, come on, come on. And they only hear half of the stuff. And then you're being pushed away. Oh, I don't have time for that. Sorry, I'm not the right person for you. Adults go through this every single day, and I know the kids do every single day. They want to say something. They had an idea. It was important. They were excited. They got out of bed. They wanted to tell mom or dad or their brother, and they just don't have the time. They're busy. Oh, let's talk about this tonight. And tonight never comes because
Yeah.
other things happen. And look, you do that. You have that pattern over time and and that's what happens. You hesitate to speak up because you don't feel other people. You don't feel interesting, that you're not of interest to other people. And that's not it. It's their ineptness to listen and to stop and listen to it. So that's part of rhythm of life. That's how it is. So you speak up anytime, whether you're an adult or a child. You speak up. You demand attention. That's what I do, Shakima. When I have something very important, I demand attention. That's it. And
And Mhm.
I have to kick up my voice a couple of notches to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I experience it every single day. So they want to mow over you like a lawnmower, or just hush you down. No, no, no. your voice goes up a couple of notches. Then they say, oh, then I may have their attention. But then he said, oh no, no, it's just we go through this all the time. You're not exempt. It's just part
Right.
of life too.
And
What happened? Go ahead. Sorry.
I always encourage my students, speak up. Don't be scared to say how you feel or what you need. Ask questions, ask as many questions as you need. I'm always encouraging because I know how it is to wanting to speak and feel like you're not being heard. I know how it is to feel like, you're going to be laughed at. So I am always empathetic towards students or children who are afraid of speaking up.
I know it. I know. Same with me with adults.
Yeah.
I feel bad, and they're absolutely great people, but it's a pattern and a belief system that they're stuck in, and it takes a little time to undo that. Because we do have choices, it can be undone, Shakima. What happens when children don't express themselves?
They become adults who don't express themselves. They're not heard. Especially now where you're so easy to just shy away on social media and, not be seen. You become like a hermit. You don't want to be heard. You don't want to be seen. You go to work, you come home. You live a dull life. You have to allow children to express themselves, express opinions, have input. And that's why going back to storytelling is just a great way to allow children to share their voices, share their views, because we all have our own perspective on things, right? And if we
Yes.
don't allow them, then it's like they're not valued.
Right. They hold back ideas and
Yeah.
become passive in conversation, but it's a
And
disaster
in life,
because they get stuck in their thinking
yeah,
and they will have no self-esteem, nothing. It's such a sad thing. And when we all think back to our childhood, that little child in us that was
yeah,
we were so happy. We could be happy about the little flowers that we saw on the grass or on the playground, or oh, we were just going somewhere with dad or with mom to the store to get milk. Anything and everything made us happy. We could see happiness in a lot of things.
yeah,
And when you're being told, don't be too happy today, you will be crying very soon. If you get that told, if people tell you, if your family tells you that over and over again, it kills the joy and it kills the rooting system of joy. This
yeah,
is what happened to me.
yeah.
So I'm telling you, I'm here with Shakima Romero, my collaborator and friend, and this wonderful program that we put together. And we bring this right to your home. And we will have grandparents and parents and aunts and uncles listening to us and seeing us tonight, and even teachers. You know what we're saying and how important it is to give the skills and talents to the children now and not wait. That's a gift of a lifetime. Instead of cake and rides, everything has its place. But the skills and talents are gifts for life, and they remember it. They remember it, and they will have it stored in their memory bank, and they will remember it because they felt important. They felt important. Next question. How can group settings help? Let me tell you what I put down. Children learn to respond, listen, and build on others' ideas, which is true. They can come up right away with something. They say, she just asked that question. What is it? So somebody will respond a little quicker, and then it will spark an idea. So
Yeah.
it has a snowball effect, right, Shakima?
Yes, definitely. It builds so many things, including social awareness, helps them to see, we have to take turns when we're doing things. It allows them to see, well, I don't have I might be shy in front of or quieter in front of an adult, but with my peers, I'm able to express myself. I'm able to see how they think and see how are we similar? How are we similar? How do we handle certain challenges and situations
I love it.
and solve problems together too?
Exactly.
Teamwork.
Right. Absolutely true. What happens when a child gains confidence in communication? I say they begin to participate more
Yeah.
naturally without hesitation.
Just
So when I played with my grandchildren, they were 3 and 4, and I created storytelling plays and everything, real life assignments. They were forced to give their opinion. They were forced to make decisions, and they had fun. And Sophie was always Judge Judy, and Max was Bert, Judge Judy's assistant, as you know. So, and we ran it really like a real show. We did, and we did this over and over again. Sophie played administrator at a company, and Max was applying for a job. Even at the grocery store, what you experience, and I wanted to get their opinion. Hey, we're shopping. Our food is, on the conveyor belt, and somebody forgets their food. The person ahead of us forgets one item and leaves one item behind by accident. What would you do? Would you act on it? Would you keep it to yourself, or keep it for yourself, or would you run after the person and say you forgot your orange juice? So Sophie had different comeback, and Max had different comeback. So right away, you see how they think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And many times their path was different, but they came to the same result. The same result. And that's what matters. How the path was for them, the mental path. That's not that important, but they had the same results.
Yeah.
So I just love this.
Yep.
How does this affect adult life when somebody gains communication, confidence?
Lack of confidence, for sure. And we talked about this, you're scared to live life, fear of rejection. You live a life of fear when you don't have confidence that you may have missed as a child. You don't take risks, and we need risks in order to move forward in life.
That is so true. And, I think I feel very bad for people like that, because I had to learn all of this. Yeah. I had to learn because we were all subject to don't speak, don't do this, don't do that. And they actually pushed my natural side down. They suppressed it. That's not me. Not to express myself. That's not me. But I had to do what they told me as a kid.
Conform. Yep.
Let me move to initiative and participation. So why do many children wait instead of acting?
Unsure, they're uncertain, lack of confidence again. If someone is confident, they're going to do it, right or wrong, they're going to figure it out. But if you're not so sure, you don't trust your own instinct, you don't trust, that you can make a good decision. So they wait to be told. And that's, a lot of adults are like that. They're waiting to be told what to do, waiting to be told what's the next step.
Right. And I have to tell you, I got a cat. I know this has nothing to do with the topic here, but I have to tell you, I went to a shelter in December, and for a cat, I wanted to give cat a new home, and this cat, her name was Mona. Somebody named her Mona. Whoever, I kept the name. That cat picked me, and the cat we've had a nice interaction here for the past 4 months, and Mona, my cat, is just like me. She's not intimidated. She may be, she gets a little bit too rowdy. I may be able to push her in the other room, and then she'll come right back out. She's not intimidated, and I like that, right, because that's how I am. She will take initiative after she's been told, "Oh, you can't do that," or forced into crawling under the bed because of whatever. She comes right back out and comes right back like nothing happened. I said, that's something I would do. So the animals are the same way. Animals have the same internal system as we do. The passive or passive or help me out. I can't think of the name right now, Shakima.
The passive, or they take initiative. They take
initiative.
Take
yes,
steps. Yeah,
that's the point I wanted to make. So, yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
Now, some of these questions, those were my notes. What is
Sure.
initiative in a child? Well, when the child takes action, making decisions, and participating without being told. That's what initiative is in a child.
Yeah. And not
And
rely on others for validation. When you're confident, when you're able to make decisions and take risk and trust your own gut, you don't have to ask other people what they believe and what they think, because it's right. Or you
that's
believe it's right.
That's right, because you are sitting at the piano at age 3 in front of a whole audience of 500 people on the stage, and you play classical music. Do you think that person, that little boy or girl, had to ask anybody, um, uh, before they made decisions? Or no, they just do it. They themselves make the decision. Because just think, if they were under the lead of an adult, mother or father, to some degree they may are, but it's really also the child that makes that decision. Otherwise, they would block the learning part of everything. It just wouldn't work. The child has to be actively, it comes from the child as well at that young age.
Yeah.
At a young, tender age like that, because it wouldn't work, Shakima, otherwise. It wouldn't work just being pushed by the mother and father or both, or by other coaches. They have to want to do it, and they have to want to place themselves into it, and to be refined, and to be, to grow in the role that they feel comfortable in. Otherwise, they would be too shy to be sitting on the stage with 500 people watching them, listening to them.
Right.
Just what doesn't work. They would crumble. They would exit the stage. Right, Shakima? I
Right.
mean, come on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, we do encourage initiative in our program. That's why Shakima and I designed this, and we're going to your home. So, mom and dad, this is the best thing that happens to your children, and you can see this in the first project we're doing with your child. So, what happens when initiative is not developed? So we don't want children to become observers instead of participants. You
That's
miss
good.
out, observers. How can you? Yeah, there's so many adults. They're observers. They're sitting on the fence and they're watching life go by and other people. And you know what kills me? They become narrators of other people's lives and judges too.
Judges,
And
yeah.
and how they should do, how other people that take initiative and have the drive, how they should do something. I have one. What changes when a child starts taking initiative? Well, they're engaged and they respond and begin to lead in small ways. You have to want to do that. My parents wanted me to be independence. They were in the garden. They worked in different areas in the house. They were always busy. And dinner time came. My mother didn't run in to feed us. So I would ask or tell my mom or dad, I'm going in to make myself a sandwich. So I always took the initiative, but I always let them know that I was doing that. So that was always that I did that. And they praised me up and down for being independent, not just for making my own sandwiches, but for also taking care of tasks and everything that I was asked to do, like cooking meals,
Correct.
at age 7 or 8.
Because you had the confidence and you were independent in order to do that. So they built those skills in you. So that's important. And that's, what we're trying to do with this program, to show that these kids can do it no matter the age. Because people think, oh, my child can't do something, or they're too young. You teach them they can do it.